Are you currently struggling to get enough research points to progress through the tech tree? Well, in this video, we're going to be going through how to set up an early game system to optimize research points so you'll never be lacking again when you need to unlock something in the technology tree. The basic concept of research points is pretty simple. You can see the UI in the top right corner indicating how many research points you have, and you can click this to access the technology tree. All the nodes in the technology tree will require a varying amount of conditions and research points. Creating research points is also a fairly straightforward task. Essentially, you want to start with 2 small worker ants, and they will go into a combiner and turn into a regular worker ant. When you have 2 regular worker ants, you can direct them into a second combiner, and when they combine, they will turn into an inventor ant. You might have to set your combiner specifically to make inventor ants. Once complete, the inventor ant will walk off and you can direct it to one of these, an inventor pad. It's located under your progression tab and you should be able to build one, and you just send it up the ramp and it'll sit on this inventor pad and wait for 10 energy orbs. Currently this one's collected 4, and if you feed it energy orbs from a trail or from a dispenser, it will slowly start increasing this blue orb that's connected to its butt. Here we can see it just received its 10th orb, and now it will have a glowing orb that you can either click or you can just wait for this ant to die and it will automatically collect 10 research points. Now a simple setup like I've shown here is all well and good at the start to get you some initial research points, but eventually you're going to want a more optimized setup to collect these research points a lot faster than this. You can keep this setup until you have about 100 research points and you've unlocked the radar tower. Once you have 50 ants, I suggest the first thing that you research is the old gate and the elder trail. They're going to require 50 points each, so you'll need 100 points total. First, let's go over how to make inventor ants again. We don't want to be using our freshly hatched worker ants to make inventor ants because that's a bit of a waste. We want them going into various hauling tasks, for example, into these foraging trails. After your worker ants have spent the majority of their life harvesting various materials for you, we can repurpose the oldest ants to become inventors instead of using fresh new ants. We'll do this by using the old gate. If you're not familiar with what an old gate does, basically it will take any old ant from a trail and send it down a different path. Here we can see these red ants are perfectly fine, but when this dark gray ant comes over with only 1 minute of lifespan left or 30 seconds of lifespan left, it's going to come down outside of the main trail and into the old trail. We can set up a second old gate on another trail, such as over here. And now the old ants out of this trail will start coming out of this old gate. Now that we have 2 old gates with ants coming out of it, we can start combining them. If we set up a combiner, we can put it anywhere. Then we can use some elder trails to direct our old ants into each of the nodes of the combiner. Now you will notice that if an ant is carrying an item, they won't go into the combiner. So you have to drop the item, and it's important to set up your old gate after where the last drop off of the energy pods are. So for example, over here, they might have picked up an energy pod off this flower and then gone into the old gate. So it's very important to make sure that your old gate is after your storage, but not before another flower. So in this case, I would probably need to move this thing to just like over here somewhere. So that way, after they collect these energy orbs over here, it'll drop it off before going into the old gate. Now, the other thing to mention while I'm talking about this is that sometimes your stockpiles might be full and then they will, regardless of where you put the old gate, be carrying an item. To get rid of the item, you will need this trash can, which also costs more research points to unlock. But essentially, you just want to put a trash can somewhere between the storage and the old gate. That way you can ensure that no ant is ever carrying an item when they're going through the old gate and that they can freely go into the combiner. So with this first combiner, we are now creating regular workers. Now we can create a second combiner. We can put that next to our first combiner. Then we can use a divider trail to divide the workers coming out of the first combiner into the second combiner. You'll need to set the second combiner up to make inventors. And when you have 2 workers, they will automatically start making inventor ants. When we have our inventor ants, we need to put them onto pads and feed them energy orbs. So I'm going to show you the cleanest build that I can think of at the moment to do this. I'm going to be building on iron floor tiles, but this isn't necessary. It's just to make it a little bit more clear. Let's start with some inventor pads. I'm going to do this example with 4 inventor pads maybe, and you can scale this up to however many you need in your build, depending on how much food and inventor ants you can produce and how much research points you actually need. But 4 should be more than sufficient for your early game. So with 4 inventor pads like this, the first thing we need to do is direct the inventor ants that are coming out of this combiner into these 4 evenly. An easy way to do this is just by using a divider trail. So I'm going to set one up that goes up this way, set one up that goes this way, and we'll set one up that goes here and one that goes here. Then we can just set up a null trail or a hauling trail if you don't have null trail yet. That goes to each one of these. Then we can get a null trail that comes from our combiner to our divider. Now you can see as an ant comes out of here, it will just pick one of these 4 trails to go to. And then once it's picked the trail, the divider will alternate and send the next ant to the next trail. So that gets our inventors onto their pads. Now how do we feed them? Well, we're going to take advantage of the fact that a stockpile can dispense into multiple dispensers. So in my example, I'm just going to pick a stockpile that has plenty of excess food. For example, this one. We don't need to just place one dispenser. We can actually place as many dispensers as we like. So the easiest way to do this is probably just to put a dispenser right next to every single one of these. Just like that. And then you can create a hauling trail that just links that up. So for example, from this dispenser, we can go here and all the way across here. Then we can go down over here and back up. Now, if we send some ants onto this trail, we will be able to dispense food into our inventor pads. Now you can see I got 1 billion ants over here, so I can send some definitely over to a new trail. Here I've just added another gate to my distributor to send some ants over from where they're being spawned. And now that our ants have arrived, we can see this path in action. You can see all the ants will grab some food and hand it off to one of the inventors that are on its pad and then continue the loop. Very straightforward. Now you can click these ants to get their research points, or you can just let them die naturally to automatically harvest research points in the background. If you're letting the system run passively in the background, we can very clearly see that 2 trails of old ants coming to make inventor ants will give you more than enough inventor ants to keep these pads full before they die. Of course, you can click them manually and then that would mean you would need more food. But if you're just doing other stuff and letting it run in the background and just waiting for the 10-minute lifespan of this thing to die, or the 8-minute lifespan for it to die, your singular food source should be enough to sustain this. You can see we have an excess of food and we're just waiting for these ants to die and give us our research points. And we have plenty of backup inventor ants to take their place once they die. A setup like this should definitely get you through all the early game technology tree research points, and it's also reasonably easy to scale up as you progress through the game. So if this video has helped you, don't forget to leave a like and sub. And if you're looking for something to watch in the meantime, I have a Let's Play series for this game on my channel. You can go check that out. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.